Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. On this episode, we'll be finishing up part 2 of our Houndsman / Landowner / Hunter relations with Mr. Ray Carter. It's been a great episode so far. I hope everybody that has listened has enjoyed it. Y'all be sure to share this as you hear it. Definitely want to be able to promote this. The rest of this conversation is great. I think there's a lot of great points being made between me and Ray, and I think it's definitely something that really needs to be promoted. As you get into this episode, you'll understand more and more. But this episode is coming out a day late. Sorry about that delay. We had a little technical difficulties trying to get everything ready last night for the drop, and I don't know what was going on with the website, but we ended up getting, looks like it's all kosher now, and looks like we should be ready to go, and we're going to set this thing up to drop a day late, but it will be dropping. And also, this weekend, opening weekend for dog season here in Virginia. I am ready to go. Finally got a little cold weather today. It feels great. It's been so freaking hot, man. It's been so hot. So, this little cold snap that we got, I'm hoping it'll hold on to us, and we can get some more cold weather coming. I don't think it's going to be quite as cold as we want this weekend, but we're supposed to get some rain the day that this episode is dropping, which will be about 2 days before season starts, and looking forward to that. But excuse me, I won't delay much longer. I just want to kind of give a few words of encouragement, guys. Everybody that's listening, I know I have a lot of Virginia fans that like to listen, a lot of guys that are local. I just want to put a few words of wisdom out there, guys. Think before you act. And you'll hear a lot in this episode on things that we need to do as houndsmen to help, and things that landowners need to help. I hope there are landowners that listen to these episodes and take these as words of encouragement and words of trying to work together and break barriers and find those bonds between the houndsmen and the landowners. But houndsmen, it's very easy to be. Let me rephrase that. We're all very passionate about hound hunting and dog hunting here, all over the country that still allows it. Think with your head and not your heart when you're out there. There's a lot of times where it's very easy to want to make moves, meant to do things that have chances to, without knowing, maybe put a negative image on the sport. So what I want to say is just think before you act. Always keep your head on straight. Keep your emotions in check. And beyond that, guys, have fun. Have fun. It's so much fun being out there. It's such a passionate sport. So much fun. I love every second of it. Every time I can get out there and put hounds in the ground and put an old horn toe in the wind. So, guys, y'all just y'all be safe. Have fun. May your shots be straight. May your dogs run true, guys. I hope everybody has a great season. We'll kind of touch base as the season goes. I'll be keeping everybody up to date with how our season goes, and we'll try to do some videoing and maybe put some videos out by the end of the season, and hopefully we can get some good footage. But all right, without further ado, let's get into this thing, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and share away. The more shares we can get, the more people we can reach, guys. So y'all be sure to do that. If you have not liked us on all your listening platforms, please do. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and TikTok. And guys, hope y'all enjoy the show. Let's drop the gate. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. When it's time to get ready for a field trial, deer season, or any other reason that you need to load up that dog box and you're in need of dog hunting supplies, look no further than Outdoor Dog Supply. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online Garmin sales as well as the leader in Garmin and Tritronics trade-in programs. From GPS system to dog training aids to vitamins and supplements and everything in between. Put your trust in Outdoor Dog Supply. Super fast delivery, superior customer service, and a dedication to our sport. We are proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply and can't thank them enough for everything that they do for our sport. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com or shoot them a call at 757-482-1000 for any of your hound hunting needs. Thank you, Outdoor Dog Supply. I think that's go ahead, keep going.
Because what I was going to say was that we're conservationists too. We're habitat managers. We have as much invested in our wildlife as the hunters do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
On both sides.
Right.
You know, our tax dollars go in the same thing your tax dollars go in. When I buy a license, regardless of what that license is, that money goes in the same pot that yours goes into when you buy licenses.
Right.
You know.
Right.
We really have to start working together.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And like you said, and I think there is a, it's kind of where we've been with this whole last, several minutes of this conversation. It's a narrative change. I think I'm so sick of seeing on Facebook and it took me a while, to get out of this mindset. And I think that's why this podcast, this episode and me and you talking like this and what we talked about after the DWR meeting, I think that narrative of landowners versus houndsmen has to stop. It needs to be landowners and houndsmen figuring it out.
Yeah.
You got to have people that are willing to compromise, to bring ideas to the table that can say, hey, this is how we're going to have to make this survive. Mm-hmm. Landowners, you have to understand that, we're not perfect and things happen. And houndsmen, you need to hold your members, hunting clubs, you need to hold your members to a higher standard. You can't be having people that are doing all these wrongs that these landowners complaining about. I mean, for the most part, as far as deer dog goes,
yeah.
If ours get off of our block, it is very, very rare that they go to a block. Like if your land was next to our hunting lease, just as an example. Most of the time, like you said, you may see it on a game camera later, but you're probably never going to know in the heat of things that they even come through the back end of your property.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's right, but most of the time those kind of situations. But what the problem lies is with these guys that are deliberately turning loose on land and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole there myself. But we need to start, as landowners and houndsmen, we need to start finding peace, understanding, and common ground amongst each other instead of saying, well, y'all do this all the time and y'all do this all the time and I don't want anything. Everybody works, and I think that's one of the biggest problems is when you watch these briefings of DWR meetings or you watch the news highlights, mm-hmm. You're only seeing the ultimatums that are being put into play. Nobody ever wants to find a few minutes to sit down and listen and watch the whole thing or say, okay, well, I see your point here and I see your point here. Why can't we say, okay, here's a halfway point between both of those things. Let's make this work, not it's got to be this regulation, this regulation, this regulation. Mm-hmm. Or, no, we don't want any regulations, period. It needs to be God, we got to find some kind of way to change this narrative, to find agreement between people.
What I would like to see and what I have slowly seen happen mm-hmm. is both sides calling for enforcement of the laws, equal mm-hmm. enforcement of the laws, mm-hmm. holding those that are doing the wrong accountable for their actions.
Yep.
But we need to do that more often than not. We can't just discredit one because that sounds too far-fetched.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or I don't believe that's the way it happened. We got to stop looking at it from that because we were not in that shoe. We did not see it. Mm-hmm. We didn't live it. Mm-hmm. We're only getting one side of the story, or we're getting... So you talk about the news. You watch that same probably news clips from that last meeting. The sound bites there were all the attention grabber sound bites. You got somebody who's got an angry face pointing at the camera, while they're speaking.
Right.
And you got somebody else who's going on a different tangent, but the same kind of, body language.
Right.
High op tempo.
Yep.
And that's it. They don't tell you the context. They don't show you the full story, and they never will. Mm-mm. All they will say is, these proposals died, and these people are angry. These people are angry too. Yep. And it's still us versus them. It's not us versus them. It's us trying to hold the people who are doing the wrong accountable.
That's
all of us say the same thing. Why aren't we on the same page?
That's right. And what's funny is, you were standing there. I had that news channel, interview me after it was all said and done. And the whole time he was like, was this a win for y'all? Or like he was trying to like almost bait questions to make me say things that were like, oh, well, you got to be happy since you're a houndsman. You got to be happy with this. And I'm like, no, not really. I mean, yes and no. I'm like, great. I'm glad these regulations didn't pass because I feel like they were very ill-worded. And I think they would have done more damage. Just like in my speech when I spoke that day, I think those regulations, especially number 7, would have done more damage to what we're trying to do than it would have done anything positive. I think there are takeaways that could have potential to work, and I'm going to be very careful how I say that. But anyway, that's beside the point. That guy was like baiting questions, and I was like, no, like this is not a win for the dog hunting community. This is an eye-opener. We need to watch what we're doing, and if we don't start holding each other accountable, and I flat out said that, and they didn't use a single second of that interview in that news release.
And they didn't use mine either.
Yeah.
I mean, I interviewed right after you did, and I said pretty much almost the same thing. It's not a win. It's not about winning. It's about coming together and working together.
That's it.
And I emphasize that. Just like when I spoke at the meeting, and we pretty much echoed the same sentiment at the meeting. The only thing that I added to it was, and not even talking to each other prior to the meeting, but I still think that there's a chance where we can get that law enforcement committee where hunters and landowners sit on that committee like we used to, sit down at the lowest level possible and address the problems.
Correct.
And then work on changing some of the legislations. And I'll say that because, not right to retrieve because it's 18.2-136 was originally written in 1938 for coon hunters and for fox hunters.
Fox hunters, yeah.
Fox and coon, right? And it was amended in 2007 to include all dogs.
Right.
All hunters,
Right.
Why can't we word that a little bit better? And change some of that. It's a 100-year-old law that really is not 100% relevant to today because it was written before we had fractured land. It was written before we had different changes in land ownership, and huge tracts of land are now smaller tracts of land. You know, so why not relook at some of those things? And I'm not saying make it where it automatically makes one person the bad guy.
Right.
But it gives teeth to holding those bad guys, I don't want to use the word bad guy. Those individuals,
I'm with you.
Those individuals accountable. Holds those individuals accountable for their actions.
Right. And I think we're both on the same point, and that was one of the big reasons that me and you have been able to talk like the way we do is neither one of us want to see these regulations hurt anybody on the other side. Like you said that very, very well. It is a give intake on both sides, and it's not. And I guess that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about ultimatums. It's like I don't understand this world that we live in now that can only seem to deal in ultimatums. It's like, why can't we find a common ground like me and you were talking about? Why can't we give a little here and still be able to use right retrieve? I don't ever want to see right to retrieve leave. I think that's a very necessary law when you have dog hunting in play.
If
it's done in the correct way.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
that's
done
the
in a
biggest
responsible way.
Correct.
As well. I mean,
correct.
That law was written in an emergency situation. You can recover your dogs.
Right.
It's not a get out of jail free card. It's
right,
not
exactly.
It's not I drove my truck onto your property because I was retrieving my dog.
Right. I mean, I'm 30. I'm 31 years. I had to think about how daggone old I was. I'm 31 years old, and I have never implemented the right to retrieve. I've never, like, if you want to look at it as a by the book, this is right to retrieve, I've never used it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never used it. It's been one of those deals that I show respect to the landowner. And 90% of the time, either A, I know the landowner, B, I know how to get in touch with the landowner, or 3, they're there at the door.
Absolutely.
And I just go and knock on the door and say, hey, look, my dog, he quit back here. I don't know if there's an animal back here. I don't know if he's just stuck in a ravine. I don't know what's going on, but I've tried to tone him out. I've tried to, give him a few, I've tried to give him a few stimulation bumps, and he won't move. I was like, I've tried everything that I can do. Do you care if I go back in there and get him? And 90% of the time, actually almost 100% of the time, I would say, they're, like we said earlier in this conversation, they're either, get in the truck and we'll go get them, or, if you go down that hill down there, it's a whole lot quicker than walking around, you know? So it's
I don't understand.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What I don't understand is why we can't work together, and I mean why it's built up, because I've watched it build up. Yep. I mean, I was stationed outside of Virginia. In the Army, and I watched it build over the years, and I watched it change. The general push of us versus them, and it's like even when I was not a landowner, I realized the importance of that respect and that mutual cooperation between a landowner and a hunter.
Right.
Because that landowner can charge me with trespassing.
Right.
That landowner can charge me with a whole lot more than just, and I can't get out of jail free with right to retrieve.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He can charge me. And back then, they would charge you.
Right. Well, it's funny, too, because, after that DWR meeting, we, like you said, there was almost a feeling of us versus them, during it, with certain speakers, with certain people talking. There was that feeling of it's our way or our way. It's not no common ground thing. But after the meeting was over and sitting down and actually watching the guys that were wanted to see change in both directions get together and talk, and I mean, hell, we sat around for probably an hour after the daggone meeting. Well, the speaking section was over. After that, we sat around and talked for an hour amongst, it was probably 5, 6, 7, 8 different landowners and houndsmen sitting around talking for an hour after that thing was over, and just shaking hands, telling stories. Yes, I'd love to see this. Man, this is a great idea. That kind of thing. And it was like, why are we not doing this? Why are we not? This is all we need to do right here, is do this right here, and we don't ever have to come back to freaking Richmond and sit through another one of these meetings. It's that simple.
It's because we actually were willing to sit down and talk to one another.
Right.
It's because we stopped with the we stopped letting the division and the language, the divisive language, become a barrier.
Right.
Everything you do, you have to come at with an open mind.
Yep.
And every problem you have to have a solution to that problem.
Right.
It may not always be the right solution, but if you sit down and talk to the guys who are living on both sides of the house, you can see it and say what will work for you, what won't work for you. But there is some type of working together that will build it a whole lot better.
Yep, I agree. I agree. So, we've been talking a lot about, fixing relations between the parties and putting a positive spin.
Yes.
How do you think we do that from here? Like, what do you think that we can do as landowners, as houndsmen? What is, I hate to say it's being leaders of the fight, but the guys that want to see change and are trying to make their voice heard, what do you think that we do to make that happen, in your opinion?
We sit down face to face. We put all the other stuff aside. We sit down face to face. We put the DWR meeting to the back. I mean, not a meeting setting. We sit down together, face to face, at a table.
Break some
bread.
Yep.
Have a beer or two.
Right.
Talk about some stuff, and get to know one another, and build what we used to have, where we knew each other. And that way, if you came over to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Carter, I'm having a problem with this guy right here." "All right, Mr. Hudson, I'm having a problem with this hunt club over here."
Yep.
Let's deal with these guys, because they're both the problem.
Right.
So how do we address them? Well, self-policing hasn't worked. Well, how about we all say, law enforcement, DWR, do your job.
Right.
It is your job.
Yep.
We are asking you to stop giving both of us a black eye.
Right.
And stop punching us in the kidneys and letting these guys go. Yep. Because it's creating this problem that we have. We identified that in the meetings, that there is a problem. The bad guys are not being held accountable for their actions.
Right. Yep. And yet, on both sides. Yep.
On both sides. And yet here we are. We keep fighting one another when we should be putting a focus on holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on.
Correct.
We need to stop. I mean, if we protected 100% of both sides, man, it'd be a knockout drag out, and there'd be no hunting in Virginia. There'd be none.
Right.
Because every landowner would be saying, because the one guy who's still holding on to a lease to a hunt club is going to be pretty much just driven into stopping, because every hunt club will be going to his land and say, "I want to hunt this land."
Right.
And then you'll turn on each other because you can't hunt. You'll have your lease date. It'll be like, what do they call those things? Those where those vacation packages where you do the rentals.
Oh, the Airbnbs. A
free for all down there. It's like, this is your time slot. This is my time slot, and then everybody else is picking up the scraps, and then you got the guys coming in there, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and and a scary thing too is, I know this commercialized hunting, that should be a fear for not only the houndsmen, that should be a fear for landowners too.
I look at commercial hunting, and I'm just gonna, from the market hunter definition of commercial hunting, that was outlawed a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, if you're talking about like these guys going out here to guided hunts, being the commercial hunts.
Yep. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Cajun Lights, who have jumped on board to support the field trialing community. Do you have nighttime field trials? Pleasure running at night? When you need to catch that next crossing at night, put your trust in Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights is a made-in-America product out of North Carolina who has been in business for over 25 years. These are cap-style and bucket hat headlamps to free up that extra hand for your voice recorder or your GPS. Whether it's the Cajun Micro Gator for those late-night feeds, the cost-efficient Cajun Bayou for pleasure running, or the top-level Cajun Blinder for field trials, never miss a thing with these amazing lights. All the lights come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime labor warranty. These guys are excited to get into our sport, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure, if you see me at a hunt, come ask me about them. I'll have one of each style on hand ready to show you. You can visit their website at CajunLights.com, and their phone number is 888-773-3080. Thank you, Cajun Lights, for coming on board with the Hounds Tales podcast. Now let's get back to the show.
Waterfowl, that has a place for waterfowl to an extent, because we all know the Atlanta flyway, the you know,
Right.
the flyways zones and stuff. I know the Atlantic flyway because I mean, from around here, so I'm not going to name the other ones. But we have them, you know, and we know that guides are used in duck hunting, and that's a good thing.
Right.
In some cases, guides are needed for deer hunting because you have people who are handicapped that are still out there hunting.
Right.
Physically disabled. Let's just say physically disabled.
Yeah.
You know, that are out there hunting, and they need a place like a reserve. The bird hunters have their place. They're, you know, but as far as commercial hunting on large tracts of land here in Virginia, I don't see it happening because it's leased. It's leased by by majority of dog hunters.
Yeah, and I know that's a worry for a lot of houndsmen. You know, I don't know how much bait there really is behind that. That's just a worry that I've kind of heard.
I think it makes people nervous because of the fact is that it could be a reality.
Yeah, it could. It very well could. You know, I mean, I'm sure if we decided, like, if it got too difficult to dog hunt around our neck of the woods, and we said, hey, we're going to give up our 1,200 acre, warehouser block. I guarantee the first people to come in behind it that could only afford it are either going to be some very, very, very rich, still hunters, or guys that are going to be doing these guided services.
But Weyerhaeuser, I don't see Weyerhaeuser or any other timber industry just leasing out a large tract of land for commercial hunting.
You don't think so?
Because the traffic that would have to go in there. Think of it like this. It would have to be very specific blocks of the year, and probably when they're doing their timber harvest. Where they can.
Oh, I can tell you right now, they don't give a damn about nobody hunting.
They don't care. I know they don't care.
They don't give a damn.
But what I'm saying is, they're not in the commercial industry, because once you go commercial that way, there's a whole different racket. There's a different ball game.
That's true. That's fair.
Where if I lease it to you, you're liable for what you do on that land as a hound hunter. Right? You're the one liable. You're the one who, if you get injured, you're there.
Yep. Right.
You're on your own.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you're commercially hunting, that's a different animal. There's a whole different. There's a whole different ball game right there.
Yeah,
because you throw the word commercial in there.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Now, if you're going like to something like Razawek, which is a bird, place they do bird hunting and stuff like that.
Right.
And you turn that into a prime deer hunting land, and that becomes commercial hunting, that's still isolated to a few hundred acres.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't see Southwest Virginia turning into a big old, commercial hunting industry.
Yeah.
Too many farmers be like, no, I got to farm this land.
Yeah.
I have to work this land.
Right.
So if I commercial hunt it, it opens up a different game, because they're going to expect food plots. They're going to expect all this other mess.
That's right.
High dollar stuff. Shoot houses in designated areas.
Right.
So when is that guy going to get a chance to do his farming or his work on his property while he's running checks on stands and keeping them up to date?
That's right. That's true. Yep. That's very well true.
I mean, so you might see a few here and there, but it's not like it's not that big of a threat in Virginia.
Yeah. I can see that.
Texas,
I can see
different story.
Yeah, right. Right.
Texas is a different story, but Virginia is not. I think that is just something that has been used to, when things weren't looking good on one end and they weren't getting ground on the other, commercial hunting got brought up.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Because look at Sunday hunting. I mean, you had Sunday hunting. I mean, look, for a guy who spent time in the military, only had weekends to hunt.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't own land of my own, but I could hunt on somebody else's land on Sunday.
Right.
Prior to that, then that was a bonus opportunity to me, but it was fought. It took years to do that, to get Sunday hunting in.
Yep.
For a multitude of reasons.
Right.
Church, all kinds. Church was one of those ones that was used.
Yeah.
Landowners wanting to enjoy their land. All right, so, and that's the one thing right there. The one, landowners wanting to enjoy their land, their private property in peace and quiet. Well, if I'm telling you can hunt on my land, then I'm already accepting the fact that you can hunt on my land and there's going to be noise. Or there's going to be archery going on.
Yep. There's
I'm
going to be
accepting
something.
that.
Yep. Right.
Now, if you're, so that's the issue right there, is we all got to look at things from a different perspective. Any excuse can be used and made to take something away or keep it down.
Right.
Or suppress it.
Right.
I could tell. I mean, like we've beat right to retrieve to death, so I'm not even gonna beat that one.
Right.
But let's say, you wanted to go back in the 90s. You could only kill X amount of deer. I mean, way less than the 6 you can kill now. Right. And those were kind of like the prize. Nobody really hunted them.
Right.
But they were one of those animals that was like, you made sure that your doe days were doe days.
Oh yeah. I mean, you talk about, I remember as a kid growing up, you talk about a doe day coming up.
Yep.
I mean, people's lips were just drooling talking about a doe day.
And it's not like today.
Nope.
Because you get longer doe season today than you ever did back then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, in some ways, going back to the way we were before, not necessarily a good thing.
True. True.
But at the same time, going back to where we actually work together, talk to each other, that's probably the best aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But we all got to look at that from that perspective, that we can make all kinds of excuses and we can look at it like something's going to change. Everything has changed.
Right.
Everything.
And I think a big thing to remember, and talking about all this, changing the narrative, fixing relations and stuff like that. I think both parties, one of the big things that we have to understand while this is going to be happening, if this is something that happens and moves forward with, is people are going to have to be patient. Mm-hmm. This is not something that me and you, when I drop this podcast and, this hunting season, all issues are going to be fixed. This is going to be one of those things, it's going to take years and years and years and years and years and years and years to fix.
It will.
But we have to keep that push, and when detours in the road, like what me and you were talking about from this weekend, when those kind of detours come, we have to do our part of trying to fix those detours, get the road back in the right direction, and open those detours back up. Because, with those kinds of things and those negative narratives that everybody feeds on and drives on, that's what's going to make it so difficult about what we're trying to do is beating those negative entities out there. We have to be able to keep the positive spin on things and keep those relations up and doing better with those while trying to defeat these negative side of things.
So I agree with you, because everybody, I mean, I don't care who you are, dwells on the negative 90% of the time.
Right.
I mean, if your refrigerator's half empty, you're like, it's half empty. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And you're going to dwell on the fact that it's half empty, or you're free. I mean, you haven't gotten a deer this year, and what are you going to do next weekend? It's been a tough year. You dwell on that, like, man, I mean, my luck just sucks. Rather than going, I'm gonna keep trying till I get it.
Yep.
If your truck breaks down, you dwell on the fact that the truck broke down, and then when they tell you the cost of repairing that truck, you dwell on the cost of repairing that truck.
That's it. Yep.
Instead of looking at a positive approach on, hey, it's gonna get fixed.
Right.
It's gonna be up and running.
Yep.
It only cost me this much versus what it could have cost me.
Right. I could be buying a whole new truck,
and it broke down in the driveway versus breaking down on 95.
That's right.
In the middle of the night on a rainy day.
Yeah.
and that's the speed bumps are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's how
Yep.
we react. It's
That's
how
right.
you react. It's how I react. It's how anybody else is in a position to where they can change the narrative to put a positive spin, or at least open it up for discussion.
Right. Right. Be willing to talk about it and not behind a freaking keyboard.
Yep.
Actually meet in person.
Yeah, or just a phone call and say, hey man, what do you
Right,
think about
right.
this?
Right.
Because
Yep.
this isn't right.
Yep.
Or,
Yep.
I mean, and I'll be honest with you, it comes down to that, the willingness to do that.
Yep.
Break
Simple
the
as
barrier
that.
and stop dwelling on the negative. Be
Yep.
like, hey, that's one group right there calling for this.
Yep.
How do we how can we fix this? Because at the meeting, I remember this discussion, and it was different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a whole different animal. Remind people that the DWR, hound hunters, well, hunters in general, and landowners all say we don't want to ban this.
Right.
We want to move forward in a positive way of working together.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, Ryan Brown looked at Mr. I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
He said, do you concur with this? And then he pointed out two individuals, and you can go back in the recordings and see it for yourselves.
Right.
I don't have to tell you on the DWR side. He said, these two guys, one of them's on this side of the aisle, the other one's on this side of the aisle, and both of them are saying the same thing. We need to work together. We need to do this.
Exactly.
Why are we not focusing on the path forward?
That's it.
Because banning is not the answer.
Right. 100%. I think guys like you and the respectful landowners that aren't on the extreme side of things want to see hound hunting stick around for my son's son and his son's sons to be able to do it. It's just finding the way to do it like I'm going to say this, and it's going to kind of kick back a little bit what I said, but do it like we used to do it. But when I say that, I'm talking about the respectful side.
Yeah.
The respect. There was so much more respect shown back in the days, and we've lost that. And getting that back is what we have to do, And that's, that kind of rolls into a little bit of our next kind of topic was the what can be done to fix it. We've talked about it, a lot of the things, like what do club owners and landowners need to do? Each party needs to start holding each other responsible. The self-policing thing has to start working. I don't care if that's your buddy that you grew up with and he was your best man in your wedding. If he's out there doing something stupid, you need to hold him responsible. If you don't, then you just really don't give a damn about dog hunting. You just don't. You really don't. You're out there to have a good time and do whatever, but you don't actually care about dog hunting. You care about going out there and having a good time. And the landowners that are treating, houndsmen like crap, or even treating other landowners and other hunters like crap, there's got to be somebody that's responsible for holding those guys accountable too.
Well, if a guy comes on my property who's another landowner with a 4-wheeler or a truck or something, I have a means, a tool to deal with it.
Right.
But if I can't get the DWR to enforce a law, or his buddies to rein in somebody,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where there's a ball drop. It's a big one. You know.
Yep.
And
so, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're going to take a quick second here and interrupt this episode and let you all know about our friends over at Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. Do you enjoy reading stories from houndsmen across the country? Diving into real-life experiences out there in the woods with working hounds of every kind. Deer dogging, bear dogging, hog dogging, small game dogging, you name it, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. And it's bringing it to you page after page while also spreading a positive image of this beautiful sport that we all love. Be sure to sign up today, and for just $15 a year, you can have quarterly magazines filled with nothing but dog hunting sent right to your door. Check them out today at southernhoundhunting.com and get in the hunt. Let's get back to the episode. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was gonna kind of roll into something a little different, but keep on rolling.
No, that was it. I mean,
okay, I got you.
That was it.
Yeah. So, one thing that we've been talking about the entire time is the Houndsmen and Landowner relations, and showing respect and that kind of stuff. What are in your idea? And I have ideas myself, and but I want to turn the table over to you. What are some of the things that Houndsmen and Landowners can do to fix these relations and get those and build those relations, even if they are non-existent right now? What do people like landowners and to create those community ties again and just get those people back together? What in your opinion is something that can happen to make those kind of things happen?
We've covered respect. We've covered sitting down face to face and talking to one another. Those are two big key ones.
Yeah.
Being open-minded, a little bit more open-minded would be another one. Willing to hear each other and communicate with one another. But reaching out before the problem, addressing the problem in a timely manner is another one.
Right.
And then also, I would say, in all fairness, if walk up to the man or woman, shake their hand, introduce themselves, and say, look, we're in this together, and we realize that. Right. On both sides.
Right.
On both sides. That cannot be stressed enough. We are in this together. I support hunting. You hunt. You obviously support hunting. Let's let's make it better for us in our future.
Right.
And again, like I said previously, holding those accountable that need to be held accountable.
Right.
Because that will resolve a lot of the issues. Leading by example. We used to say that all the time in the Army. Lead by example.
Right.
If I say I'm going to do something, I have integrity to do it.
Yep.
Do the same thing.
Yep. We can't have the do as I say, not as I do mentality.
Exactly. I mean, if you're saying it, do it.
Yep.
We've heard a lot of broken promises on all sides of the house. Let's face it, the DWR broke some promises. I mean, we've all broke promises on both sides.
Yeah.
And when I say the DWR broke promises, I mean they really did with enforcement of the laws and accountability in some ways.
Right. Yep.
And so did we, because landowners don't necessarily always hold people accountable until it gets out of control. Mm-hmm. They try to address it and it doesn't get addressed because that guy just goes, that guy's a pushover, I can intimidate.
Right.
And then you turn the blind eye to something because you see it, you know it's wrong, but you don't want to bring the bad. You don't want to be that guy that shows that your team is not the one doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, that kicker took a cheap shot on the kicker, but that's okay. We're going to turn around and say he didn't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Throw the flag. Flag.
Don't throw that flag. We didn't do it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's honestly what it comes down to. We all have to work together. The biggest thing is working 100% together.
Right.
And kicking out some of that negative thoughts.
Yeah.
We're all going to have them. We all are. We're going to have a bad day. We're all going to think certain things. But using that as a tool, as a learning tool, how to move forward. Instead of trying to erase something or make it like it never happened or act like it never happened.
Right.
Own up to it. Ownership.
Yep. I agree. And, I think my opinion on that is, as far as the creating those ties and those relations is, and this is something I'm gonna try to do with our chapter, our Hunting Dog Alliance chapter here in Appomattox, is we're gonna try to do it next weekend, but I think it was too short of notice. But one thing I want to do each year is, at least either right after season or either before season starts, is I want to do a big cookout, whatever you want to call it. Just have get some quickie market fried chicken, and people bring sides and desserts, and everybody just get together, have a good time. That it means clubs in Appomattox County. Go to your landowners, give them this flyer, say, hey, we're going to be doing this at this location at this time. We'd love for you to come have some conversations. If there's problems, this is a good time to address them.
Yep.
If there's, if you just want to come and hang out, this is hey, come get a hot plate, come have a good time, come have a few drinks, let's have a good time, and this is the way to do it right here.
I agree.
think that could be
that goes a long way.
Huge thing if people would start implementing that and just saying, hey, I know that we didn't do it very often, but we did used to do it at our hunting club. Our hunting club would take and say, hey, we're going to have oysters over here, or hey, we're going to do hot dogs and hamburgers. Landowners that we associate with and guys that we're trying to be introduced to. Here, there's the address. Y'all come over. And I encourage all hunting clubs to do that. And if you have Dog Hunting Alliance chapters, do it. Or, if there's landowners that have some kind of community thing, say, hey, here, let's reach out to these hunting clubs and say, hey, let's fix these issues. Here, we're going to do this on this day. We'll be here, and we'll have a Brunswick stew or something like that. We'll have a good time. Like, people just get together and have a good time with each other again. And that, golly, man, I feel like they could fix so much stuff.
And that, you and I talked about that, doing the same thing. I mean, doing a pig picking, doing a Brunswick stew. I mean, Virginia's known for its pork, for its barbecue. We're known for Brunswick stew.
Right.
I mean, why not? And it feeds a lot of people.
That's right. That's right.
It's good eating and it's good fellowship.
Yep.
We talk about fellowship amongst each other, but we never talk about crossing that line and showing fellowship.
Yep. Think about how much just a simple like, hey, we're a dog hunting club. I'd love for you to come have some fried chicken with us. Just something as simple as that. It's like, man, these guys are actually all right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of your relations are going to get fixed over a piece of fried chicken, but it's the fact of saying, man, y'all actually are willing to conversate and hang out with people and do certain things like that. That's pretty cool.
It goes a long way just to sit down and talk to somebody. It goes a lot further than what you think.
Yep.
I mean, and it builds a bridge. It starts building that relationship.
That's it.
It goes back. I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier too. Was building, sitting down and breaking bread.
Yep.
I mean, it goes a long way. You're telling stories. You're talking about things, and you move forward. You talk about the problems that you have. And then, somebody cracks a joke because things get a little too serious, and you move on and go about the business.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But that's the biggest thing. We have to sit down and stop with all the other mess.
Yep.
We got enough problems in this world.
That's it.
None of it's going to be solved overnight, and we know this. But this is a problem that can be fixed. It might take a couple of years. It might take 5 years, but it can be fixed.
That's right. And it's just, people are going to have to be patient and let it run its course and let it actually do its thing. If we can keep these, and I think we've said it already, but if we can keep these ultimatum guys from getting any kind of ground and getting any kind of regulations pushed through before we can get the problem fixed this way, then, man,
that's on both sides of the house.
Right, yeah, 100%.
Because you can't, you cannot have somebody tell you, all right, so proposal, I think it was 7. The one
7.
7 was a big one that was totally non-functionary.
Yes.
Why? How do I tell you? How can I tell you if you were a conservation police officer and you came up to me and said, "Hey, man, no, I did exactly. I'm telling you, these are the steps that I took to do this." And as a hunter, I took these steps.
Right.
And because I met this criteria, I can say I did it, but the proof, who's the burden of proof on?
That's right.
Because you got to take my word instead of actually seeing what I've done.
Yep. That's it.
Back in the day when a man would shake your hand, look you in the eyes, and tell you something, it was more than likely you were getting a square deal.
Yep, that was gold.
More than likely. Not all the time, because there are some good guys out there that they sell snake oil to a church.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
Or try and sell ice to Eskimos and call it a good deal. You know?
That's right.
But we don't. Today we have other issues. A man's integrity is not the same as it was back then.
Nope.
And
Nope.
I mean, I don't, unless I put it in writing sometimes, I don't feel like it's worth much of
Oh,
what it's written
100%.
on.
Yep,
You know,
100%. 100%. And it's so sad, and I've had deals in the past where I look back on it and I'm like, I should have got it in writing. That's my own fault. And it sucks that we got to be like that, but that's just what this crazy world has gotten to. Everybody's so protected now. They don't care about nothing else. I don't promote violence in any way, but if people start getting their butts beat again, then maybe that kind of thing will be fixed.
it might take it, but it's we all know what the answer is.
Yep.
When it comes to that, because a lot of the times, I mean, violence is going to lead to more violence. It's just
Yeah. Right.
Just like
and
this.
Don't take that the wrong way. I'm not trying to promote violence
No,
against.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean, though.
But just like the conversations that are had where people are pointing fingers, it escalates really quickly.
Correct.
So I mean, I'll use that analogy.
Yep.
When we start pointing fingers at each other, it escalates and it gets out of control. Nobody wants to hear anybody. It shuts everybody down.
Right.
It's like that first time you raise your voice in a situation and you automatically see everything just kind of like, oh, really? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
just like arguing with the wife, and she's like, "Yeah, you raised your voice first." I'm like, "No, I didn't. What are you talking?"
Exactly. It turns into something else that you didn't even want to get there.
That's it.
And then once you start, it's hard to turn it off.
Yep, it is.
Because it's gone beyond that point.
It has. Yep.
And unfortunately, that's where we're at, and that's why we have the groups that we have.
Right. Yep. And that's why the narrative needs to be changed.
It does. But if we don't sit down together and we don't talk to one another and we don't work it out, and in a setting, in an environment that's gonna foster that,
right,
we're gonna continue to have the problems.
Yep. I agree.
I mean,
I agree 100%.
If we don't do what we say we're gonna do, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If we do not say what we're like. We can make all these promises like, I'm going to put this code of ethics out here. Or I'm going to put this out there. Or the next time this happens, this is your one freebie from me.
That's it.
This is it.
Yep.
The next time it happens and I let it slide or I don't enforce that and I let those guys continue to do what they do, either side of the house.
Yep.
I just said... My word is not worth a damn. You can do whatever you want to. I'm sorry, I should take that off of there. But, it's not, my word is weak. And I'm not going to do what I'm going to say I'm going to do.
Hold true to what you said.
Doing what you're doing.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, and that's where we're at on both sides. Because both sides have said one thing. I see a lot of complaints of guys, and when you ask them, did you file a report? And they say no. Why not?
Why? Right.
Why not?
Right.
Did you actually, and some of them will come back to you and say, well, we don't want to make these guys mad because there are a group of them. We don't want to make them mad. I mean, you know what?
Sometimes you're just going to ruffle some feathers.
You ever make a hornet mad? Sometimes you just got to deal with that little bit of sting for a little bit.
That's it.
And if they're threatening you, there's laws that you can hold them accountable for.
Exactly. And that's the kind of people we don't need.
And exactly, that's not the representation that anybody wants.
Right.
Nobody wants a group of angry individuals, mob mentality, dictating how we do things.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
If you're intimidated by somebody standing on your own property, then you have other issues that you got to deal with.
Right. Yep. That's right.
You got to be willing to prosecute them. You guys, hunters, have to be willing to stand behind that guy and say, no, that guy did wrong.
Yep. That's it.
He absolutely did.
Right.
I had this conversation a while back with a different individual, and the one thing I said, because they brought up the ethics and they brought up things, and I was like, if you don't hold them to the standard, where's the standard?
That's it. The standard's just words on paper at that point if you're not holding them to it.
Where's the standard? You know,
That's
if
it.
I'm not willing, if you want police, self-policing's not working.
Right.
If you want self-police, it's not going to work.
Right.
If you turn a blind eye on both sides, it just becomes a bigger problem. And then we take the social media, we as a whole, as both sides, and start pointing fingers, and then here we go. We get one big old roundabout, and then
Then we're
it's
right
up
back
in
to
arms
them.
again.
Yep. Right back to it. Yep.
And just like this thing that happened this weekend, I'm not gonna touch too much on it.
Yep.
I mean, I know we've kind of hinted around to it a little bit here and there.
Yep.
That right there, ill timing, is almost like it was strategically done.
Uh-huh.
Here we are, close to hunting season, about as close as you can get to the, we're weeks down, and general firearm season is right there on the cusp of things.
They said pulled the pin out the grenade and threw it out there and see who's going to catch it.
Exactly. And if you look at everything in that perspective and say, look, guys, we cannot let this get to us.
Right.
We have to move forward and do the right thing.
Right.
I mean, we've all said, be on your best behavior. Look, we're all grown people.
Yep.
We're all grown men. We are grown men and women out here doing a job, living life.
Right.
We have one thing that we can do, and that's the right thing in this situation. Let calmer, cooler heads prevail. Move on and professional and show some courtesy and respect.
Yep. And it's so funny, you talk about, not letting it get out of hand and people, one of the things that always irks me on Facebook is you see, like, just for an example, you see a bad video of something. Mm-hmm. And it's like people will say on it and say, share the video, but they'll say, I can't believe this is on Facebook. But they'll share the video. Well, guess what? With you sharing the video, talking crap about it, you just exposed it to all of your 1,500 friends. Like, at what point does common sense not kick in and say, don't share it? Report it, delete it, do something different. Don't share it and tell somebody how dumb they are. Well, now you're just showing everybody how dumb they are and how dumb you are for sharing it. It's like, come on, guys. It'd be just like sharing the thing that me and you've been talking about from this weekend. Neither one of us shared it and said, this is so bad. It was like, nobody needs to see this thing. I didn't stalk you or nothing like that, so I don't know if you shared it or not. No, I never shared it. It's like, this is I'm not wanting nobody to see this, so I'm not sharing it.
When it was asked of me, I put it on I took it down, but I made sure that what I said on there was I disagree with this.
Yeah, right.
Because this is not what we worked on at the DWR meeting. This is not where we were all in general consensus, trying to squish the flame. Quell those flames a little bit.
Right.
And get them to die down by saying, look, this is not what was said at the DWR meeting.
Right.
That guy was not even there.
Right.
That individual was not even there.
Right.
And it's all fanning the flames, and it's dividing us.
Yep. It's time people putting fuel on it.
We have bigger fish to fry. We really do.
That's it. That's it.
And this issue, instead of trying to drag it back and forth, we need to address it now and get it just taken care of.
Agreed. Agreed.
Because if not, what's going to happen is these guys are going to gain ground on both sides, and it's going to be back to ground zero. We're going to be fighting all over again.
Yep.
And
we'll be doing another hound dog study in 5 or 6 more years.
Another waste of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something that has already been addressed a couple times now.
Yep.
We all know that there's problems. Address those problems.
Yep.
As we need to focus on a united front, and I said this before. We need to work on the focus and focus ourselves on getting the DWR to do more of their job, what they're paid to do, what they're already paid to do.
That's
enforce the laws, enforce the standards,
and
get these guys engaged.
Yep.
Get the CPOs out there that are trained, qualified to do their job.
Right.
They should be coming out of the academy. You know,
Yep.
that way. Get them the experience they need
Right.
and the leadership that they need to do their jobs and function as an organization that enforces the game laws.
That's it.
We on our hands, both landowners and hunters, when we see the issues, we need to address those issues. And that means that it requires DWR or law enforcement. We support that activity rather than making it out to be
right.
negative action.
The negative thing. Right.
Right. Like,
Right.
Because I've heard it like the DWR is siding with this person on this day, and they're siding. We've all said it. Every one of us have claimed that. Because we see something, we're like, hey, that ain't right. The DWR is not doing, they're not doing us any justice here.
Yep.
But have we really looked at what the problem is? What's being addressed?
Right.
What the problem is? And come at it from hey, Ray, hey, James, you saw this problem, right? I did. What's the best action? Well, the code says this. Yeah, but he's claiming this. But he was driving the truck.
Right.
You
gotta
know what I'm
get to
saying?
the roots.
He was in possession of a firearm.
Yep.
He told the landowner when the landowner asked him to identify himself to go pound sand.
Right.
So he violated that. He's no longer protected by that.
Yep.
That's the unified front that we need to be on.
Yep. 100%.
100%. He impeded. I mean, because I've seen articles where they've claimed this guy stopped my dog, and now he's impeding. It's on somebody else's land. That landowner has the right to stop that dog.
Yeah,
on their land.
Right.
It's not impeding your hunt. Because what are you doing at that point in time? You're admitting to what on that guy's land?
True.
Be careful what you say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The dog got away. He stopped it. I'm glad he stopped it and didn't shoot it.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what
right.
I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
The collar's still intact. Everything's still intact. He called me. He said, come get your dog in a not so nice way. Well, guess what? We all don't always say something in a nice way at times.
That's right. Right. And like you said, the DWR's got to enforce those. Like we have people that we have a crazy landowner around us that will go out, and when we get our block that we're allowed to hunt is on the opposite side of the street to where she lives. So if we're trying to keep the dogs on our block, what she likes to do is go out in the road, and will drive down the middle of the road at 5 miles an hour. So she's impeding us from being able to get in front of the dogs. And then she wants to call the law and get crazy on us when they do cross over, because she blocked us from being able to get to the location that we needed to get to stop the dogs, to make our effort to stop the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean and then it's like, golly, and law enforcement and CPOs won't do anything about it. It's like, well, she's just driving down the road. Like, no, she's not. Come on, you have to see this.
Who's the burden of proof on?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, but how you feel about that is how we feel too.
Right.
How we feel when similar things happen.
That's right.
It's the burden of proof there.
Yep.
Even if you can say, like I said about technology, is a great, wonderful thing, but you still have to have the burden of proof. You have to show intent.
Yep. That's it.
You have to be in somebody's mindset and actually be on the same wavelength and be like, did that guy just say that he purposely drove 5 miles up and down the road, honked his horn the whole time, just to interfere with my hunt?
Yep. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, and that's what we get too, and that's where a lot of the frustrations is at.
Yep.
Because a lot of it's open to interpretation.
That's right. That's right.
There are 3 sides to a story. There's your side, my side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
And the truth. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And somebody has to weed through all the other stuff, the personal biases,
right,
and the assumptions that we make, and find the truth in there.
That's it. The Hounds Tales podcast has teamed up with First Form Outdoors to get behind the hunters. Yes, that's right, the hunters. We as houndsmen put so much focus on our dogs that sometimes we forget to focus on our own selves and our health. Whether you're in the woods racing to get in front of that big buck chase, or in the wire for 5 hours catching crossings up and down the path, we are constantly draining our bodies all day long. First Form offers energy drinks, hydration products, protein snacks, and other supplements to get us back up and going while we are doing what we love. Show yourself some love and visit firstform.com, and that's the number 1, STPHORM.com to check these guys out. And from here on out at all hunts, I will have products available for purchase. If you have any requests that you see when you visit firstform.com, feel free to contact me and place an order, and we'll make that happen. Now, back to the episode. So, we're getting close kind of to the end of this thing. I think we've hit on all these topics pretty good, man. I want to do something right here at the end. What can we've said a lot of things. We've done a lot of things. We've talked about a lot of stuff. This has been really, really good. I wanted to kind of flip the script just a touch. As encouraging, I want to send encouraging words. I want each of us to do encouraging words. What can you encourage houndsmen, you as a landowner, what can you encourage houndsmen to do to help find common grounds, or to find to do things a little better than what I hate to say, I'm trying to think of the right wording for this. What kind of encouraging words can you give houndsmen before this hunting season gets started?
Just basically be open-minded, be like flexible at times, and take a deep breath before you. If you got a hot head on either side, take a deep breath, deal with the hot head in the best professional way you can. Represent yourself and represent hunting. Yep. If you're a landowner, take that into consideration too. Look at what you would do in that situation for yourself. How it would be if you was on your foot. Stole the words
right out of my mouth.
If that shoe is on your foot, how are you going to deal with it? Because you're coming from all sides of it.
That's it.
Not only that, but be safe.
Yeah.
Lead by example.
Right.
Be the representative, be the person that you want to be to protect and drive your heritage to the next level.
That's it.
That's why we had hunter education. That's why we had all this other stuff to tell us what right looks like. A moral and ethical compass that we have. Use it.
Yep. I like that.
Don't make excuses for guys. If they're the ones being the problems, don't make excuses for them. And that goes for both sides of the house. I'm not just speaking to the hound hunters. I'm talking about landowners too.
Yeah. I like that. I got a lot of respect for that. And I would say pretty much on the same lines of, keep an open mind when things happen. Just if there are situations that do arise, like you said, like literally you stole everything that I could have possibly said. I encourage landowners and other style hunters to come out there with the cool, calm, collective head and understand that probably 100% of the time, honestly, we don't want our dogs on your land either.
Yeah.
That's, I can't speak for every single person. I know there are, what we always say, what's always brought up, the bad actors, bad apples, whatever you want to call them. But most of the time you're going to find that we don't want the dogs there either, and we just want to get them back safe. So I think that would be my encouraging words to, the landowners and houndsmen out there as well. Keep open mind, like you said. Be cool, calm, collective, and just be smart. Just be smart about about everything that you're doing. That's all I can say.
Sometimes it's just best to walk away from a situation when it's escalating.
Yep.
Just turn and walk, because you're not gonna. And I'm not turning the other cheek. There's always the time and place for everything. I'm just gonna say that. But
yeah.
But when a situation becomes to a point where it's going to get worse, just kind of just take a deep breath. I understand where you're coming from. I respect you. You're the landowner. I'm going to leave. Right.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Yep. I'll come back in about 30 minutes.
I mean, if you don't mind, can I come back and talk to you in a little bit when we calm down?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But don't escalate the situation if you don't have to. Always assess it.
I like that. Well, man, is there any last minute thoughts before we finish this thing up?
I just hope everybody has a good, happy season, hunting season, productive.
I know it, man.
For all of us, all of us involved. I don't want to hear about animals getting. Not when I say animals, I mean livestock or anything like that getting killed. And honestly, I don't want to hear about any hunters getting killed either, or
That's
anybody
right.
else, or problems.
Yep.
I wish we
That's
could get
it.
away from all the issues, but we're never going to get away from them 100%.
Yep. Just got to
But
figure out how to deal with them.
but we all need to be safe in the woods. We all share the woods. We all
That's right.
just do the right thing and be happy and be safe.
I like that.
You know,
I like that. I respect
that's
that.
all I gotta say.
Heck yeah,
Honestly.
man. Awesome. You hopefully you'll have a good season. Everybody out there listening, I hope everybody has a good season too. You seeing anything worth shooting down your way?
Absolutely. I wish
now.
I wish I could get out in the woods, but I mean I've been tied up doing other things around the house, getting ready for wintertime.
Yeah,
But-
I understand. If we ever get one.
Yeah, if we ever get one. But no, actually, I had some projects that were left over from the summer. But I will be honest, I've seen some nice shooters.
Good.
I
Well,
mean-
hopefully you can bag at least one of them this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see. Depends
That's
on
right.
depends on how sneaky he wants to be. He's around 3 o'clock in the morning, so
Ooh, yeah,
he
he's
hasn't
a
broke
hard one.
daylight yet.
He's got a calendar. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
But well, man, this has been great. It's really has. It's definitely an honor having you on here. And I do want to take a second too and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I definitely appreciate you serving the United States like you did. But it really has been an honor on having you on here. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, just in general. And then ever since me and you kind of got to having conversations, I knew this was going to be a great one, and I think it's going to do a lot of good. So
I hope so.
I really do appreciate it, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I mean,
Absolutely.
I hope people take away some good stuff from this,
I think they will.
and
I-
I think it's productive as well. And it was good meeting you finally, and
Yeah,
it's good talking to you. We've had some good conversations,
absolutely.
and I hope we continue to build
Yep.
the bridges that need to be rebuilt
Yep.
and repair damage that is needing to be repaired for a long time.
I agree. Let's make a headway with it, brother.
Absolutely.
Good deal, man. Well, everybody out there listening, thank y'all so much for joining us on this episode. I encourage everybody to take heed to everything that was said today. Hopefully this will inspire somebody out there listening that we can get and try to fix these relations and really make a solid, proven point in everything that we're doing. So y'all be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to share away as well. And everybody out there listening, like always, happy hunting.